Okay, so I'm gonna leave this camera running for probably like 10-15 minutes. I'm not even gonna really edit this video all that much either. This video is simply just gonna be me talking to you guys about World Gone Mad and the episode that aired last night. So there's not gonna be any kind of fancy editing in this video or anything like that like we usually do. This is just gonna be simply me talking to you guys. So there you go. But for those that watched World Gone Mad last night, I had a lot of feedback from you guys. I had a lot of responses from you guys. I had a lot of crazy reactions from you guys. Luckily, I've heard nothing but good things from y'all fans. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that I didn't make anybody want to leave the show. You know what I mean? Because we did something pretty insane last night for World Gone Mad, which I will say now, if you have not seen World Gone Mad Season 4, Episode 3, this is your chance to get out. In, about 10 seconds, I'm going to say it. So, like I said, if you haven't seen it yet, this is your warning. Click off the video. I'll wait another few more seconds and then we'll get into it. Okay, so if you're still here, you've seen the episode. Lincoln's dead, guys. Lincoln's dead. So yeah, like I said, your guys' response to this was absolutely insane. I had people that were absolutely shell-shocked. I had a lot of people that just really didn't know what to do with themselves. I actually had a few people responding to me saying that they were crying. So again, I apologize for making that happen. I know that Lincoln was, definitely a very important character to this series. He was the most important character. It's sad to see what happened to him, right? It really is. And, here's what I'm going to say. So, World Gone Mad from the very beginning, and I haven't been able to say this until we're here now. World Gone Mad, as you all know, was originally intended to be a comic book. Do you guys remember that? Back in 2019, World Gone Mad was intended to be a comic book series. And I remember I advertised it as such. And I remember I was going to do the drawings for it and whatever. There was even a moment where I actually wanted to get a professional artist to do it, but it was too much. There were times where I was actually looking into that because I do know some people that actually could have helped me actually do this comic and really make it something insane, which, one day we could always do. It's not something that's impossible. I'm not saying we could never not do it. The World Gone Mad comic could absolutely happen one day, but that's besides the point. World Gone Mad was originally supposed to be a comic, and in that comic book series, back many, many years ago when this story was written, in issue 50 of the comic books, Lincoln would die. That's exactly what happened. And, I've made a lot of changes from the source material to the narrated version, right? For example, I've said this before, Dave Miller would have originally died in the season 1 finale in the comic book series, right? And he does die in the comic book series. When Tom fights Dave on the bridge, Dave dies. That's how it goes. Tom gets revenge for Billy. Everything goes down just like that. And, we've gone against some of the storylines that I originally have had in the comic book draft of this series, right? And we've changed things and we've made things different, right? The appearance of the Apostles was very different in the comic book series. It was done in a very different way. A way that I think the show corrected, I would say. There is a lot of iffy writing from the comic books in the early days. I'm not going to lie, because I was kind of young. I was getting started with writing and stuff like that. But this would have been issue 50. Lincoln's death scene, the introduction to Bishop, the return of Ryan, and the death of Lincoln in the way that it was handled would have been issue 50 of the comic books. Now, with that being said, it was always intended for Lincoln to die. It was always intended, and it was always something that was always hard to do. I never really wanted to do it. It's not something that, it's not something I necessarily wanted to do, but it's something that the story, kind of forced me to do, right? The way the story goes and the way that World Gone Mad goes, and I can't speak on anything that goes in the future of this series, Lincoln West would not have a purpose. He would not. He would not have any kind of purpose on what comes up next. It really is what drives the story. His death is what drives the story to what it becomes, right? And here's what I can say. His death was not easy to do. It's definitely not something that was easy to make. I don't think it's easy for anybody to kill their lead off like that. And again, I've heard very much a lot of positive feedback. I've heard a lot of people that have enjoyed it so far, which is not the response that I expected, to be honest. It's not the response I expected. So I appreciate you guys and you fans for, being honest, even if it's a death that you think is kind of out of nowhere and it's kind of outrageous. I'm glad that, some people were able to enjoy it and some people were able to, accept the way the story is going and, that kind of thing. And I'm very happy about that. I'm very, very surprised by the fan response to this decision. You know what I mean? But here's what I'd say. Lincoln is a character, and now that we know what he's all about, now that we've seen his story all the way through, he really is a crazy character. He is a really crazy character. He starts off looking for his family. He starts off in a state that's just like, kind of broken. He doesn't really know what he's gonna do. We even heard in this episode recently, in 403, where he says to Sydney he wishes that he just gave up and died, low key, back in the early 10 months when he was out there on his own. He actually kind of wishes that maybe he never found his family. Maybe that's what these people needed. And Sydney kind of reassured Lincoln, like, no, you're our leader. Like, you're our leader. You're the guy that started this whole thing. You're, the reason why I'm here. You helped me find my sister. You helped Tom, fight Dave. You helped all these people. You became the guy that we could rely on. And, Sydney really wanted to make sure that Lincoln knew that. And one of the things I really tried to do in this episode, and as I'm sure you guys noticed while you were watching the episode, there are a lot of callbacks to the first season, obviously, right? We had the narration at the beginning of Lincoln, right? And now we skip to 6 years into the apocalypse and we find out how he's doing now, you know what I mean? And we see Lincoln in the flashback, asking Haley, like, what do you see, right? If there's a sign of hope out there. What do you see? And she sees the Robin, right? And it comes in at the end, at the very end of the episode, and it comes in full circle. And she sees the Robin again. And at least in the way that I wrote the episode, I envision it that Lincoln is sending her a message beyond the grave, right? And it's Lincoln telling her, go. You're going to be fine. You know what I mean? You're going to get out of this. You're going to do what you're gonna do, and you're gonna be okay. You're going to be that leader that they need, And from the beginning of the series, we set up Haley as a very, intimidating person when she wants to be, but at the same time, a very just, capable survivor that knows what she's doing. She knows how to handle herself, and she has been through probably the worst trauma out of any character I've ever written. I'm not gonna lie. Haley has been through the absolute most unspeakable things ever. I mean, honestly, she has gone through the most out of any character in this show. I don't think there's any kind of debate there. And Lincoln's death really is a major staple for this, And even in the original season 2, when we had the wedding vows, right? And we kind of ended with that with Lincoln, in sickness and in health until death parts us. And In Sickness and in Health was the title of the season 2 finale, which was a two-parter, right? And this episode is a two-parter as well, and it's called Till Death Parts Us. It's the rest of that story. And, World got mad from the very beginning. Lincoln was looking for his family. That's all he cared about. That's all that mattered to him was his family, And now he's doing this. He's sacrificing himself for his family. And in the first episode, he was tied to a tree, and he was, interrogated by this guy named Tom, right? And this guy spared his life and untied him from the tree and became his brother figure, right? And now in season 4, episode 3, Lincoln is tied to a tree and his real brother doesn't free him. He kills him, which is kind of speaking on what the West family has. You know what I mean? The West family has people like Ashley and has people like Haley and has people like, Billy that are very good, right? They're very good people. They're nice little kid, and Haley's very good, and Ashley seems like she has a good heart as well too. You know what I mean? But you have people like James that are just absolutely out of their minds, and Lincoln spared his life literally last episode in the flashback, and look where that got him. Lincoln is a character that I really wanted to write as his character in the end, and this I can finally speak on his character. He starts off as a tragic character looking for his family. He finds his family, then he loses his family, then he loses his mind a little bit, He tries to hang on because he doesn't want to really, be like that. He doesn't want to be out of his mind. But think about losing your kids and what that would do to you. seeing them up there like that, displayed, think about what that would do to you as a person. And then your wife gets raped by someone like Chris. You know what I mean? Lincoln's story goes out of whack and he loses it, but he tries to hold it together. But there's moments where he can't, you know? And there's someone like Dave that's around that he just doesn't trust at all because of past events, but he's forced to work with him, you know? And at the end of season 3, he finally gets revenge on the Vipers. He finally finishes the job, you know? And he decides in that moment, I'm done. I'm done with being outrageous. I'm done with losing my mind. It's not worth it anymore. I'm going to do the right thing, you know? I'm going to go get that woman on the side of the road. I'm going to save her life, you know what I mean? I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to do things different. I'm going to become a good leader again. I'm going to be that man that, you know, my son can call his father. I'm going to become that man that, you know, can lead a community well. And for, you know, literally 5 years of time, that community was able to live in a good way. Besides James's fiasco, you know, during the time skip, he was able to live a really good life with his family. You know what I mean? He really was. And he asked, you know, God, he said, spare my family. I don't care what happens. Make sure they live. I don't care what happens to me. Just make sure they get out alive. You know what I mean? And that's what he did. And that is exactly what happened. The prayer was answered. You know what I mean? That's what it is. The prayer was answered. And it's really sad because now he's dead, right? So the family is going to go on without him. And I've said this many, many times. This show is about the West family. That's what it's always been about. The show is about the West family. And that legacy will carry on with Billy, with, you know, Haley and Ashley and James and Isaac. As much as they're, you know, horrible human beings. And they, you know, they definitely, they have it coming for sure. They definitely do. But it's there you go guys. You know, it's not an easy thing to do. Killing a lead off is not an easy thing to do. I really hope I did it in a way where you guys can appreciate it. From what I've heard from the fan feedback so far, it's positive. It has been positive, and I'm glad to hear that. And again, I want to appreciate you all for following Lincoln's character for these 4 seasons. You know, whether you've loved him, whether you've disagreed with him at times, you know, or you fully see his perspective and you fully see why he does things. You know, it's up to fan interpretation. But he's a very conflicting lead. He has his moments where he's good. He has his moments where he's bad, you know, and that's how he's written. He's supposed to be a very anti-hero type character. And, you know, there you go. There you go. He saw his wrongs and he's gone. There you go. So I can confirm now going forward in the series and based off of, you know, what happened, we are going to be getting new leads for this show, obviously. And the leads for this show is going to be 3. It's an ensemble cast and it's actually led by 3 characters. We're going to have Haley. She's going to be one of them. We're going to have Tom. He's going to be another one. And Dave is going to be the other. So those 3 characters are going to lead the show. And funny enough, those are the characters I've heard the most support for. So that, you know, I think that's definitely the right choice. And, you know, I think that's definitely where the story needs to go. It was always intended for this to go this way. If you go and, you know, watch older seasons of the show, you'll honestly see a lot of setup for this. And, you know, it's very much in your face. When you go back and watch the 4 seasons now and you go back and watch what we did, it's been set up the entire time. I promise you this. If anybody thinks that this was just a last minute decision, it wasn't. It was there the whole time. It was set up the whole time. And the story is absolutely going to be, it's going to be affected by this for sure. And, you know, we have a lot now. We got Bishop. We got all this stuff. We got all this new storyline that, you know, is being presented to us. And I hope you guys are ready for the ride because it's going to be absolutely insane. So if this was a comic book, this would be issue 50. And I can't even believe that my story has gotten to that point. So thank you for sticking around for 50 issues worth of content. And I hope you guys are ready to see where the story goes next because it does get crazier than this. I might sound like I'm lying, but I'm not. The story gets even more insane. than what we do here. And the story is absolutely out of this world. So keep watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for following Lincoln's character for all this time. And I hope you guys are ready for what comes next. World Gone Mad is back, guys. World Gone Mad. We got more episodes coming up for the rest of this half season. We got a few more episodes to go for the first volume of season 4 of World Gone Mad. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys really soon for more videos for World Gone Mad. Thank you all for your support, and I will see you guys really soon for more World Gone Mad videos. Peace out.